Opinions and stories around the game we love, told by your favorite storytellers. Stay up to date with all things cricket. Subscribe to CricBuzz's YouTube channel and press that bell icon now.
There's always so much drama around an IPL auction. It's a program in itself. It's a high eyeballs program in itself, because you think you know what the trends are likely to be, but there's not a single person on the planet who can actually tell you what is going to happen, because it's all governed by auction dynamics. Which kind of team wants which kind of player? Yes, there are certain ego buys. I want this player in there, but also it's where you come in the auction. Do you come in too early? Are people trying to save money early on, saying, look, the player I want is coming later, and then suddenly that player becomes a value pick, where later on in the auction, the same player would have become a high value player. So the auction dynamics overtake everything else. But I've picked 4 or 5 broad things that I see happening in the auction. The first is a complete no-brainer, which is that Indian players will get very high valuation. I've often likened some of the valuations to the startup valuations, where you say, where is the profitability? You know, the old things we all study in business school and management and finance, unless there's profitability, there's no business. But IPL valuation, some players, it can be a bit like that. You can see a little bit of that with India players. Listen, there are 10 teams this year. 7 Indian players in the playing 11, that's 70. You want another 40 players who are good enough to be in the 11 at least. You're talking between 110, 120 players. Okay, 10 of them have gone. I'm looking at a minimum of 100 to 110 players who are good enough to be in a high pressure game in the world's biggest T20 league. Much as we like to talk about the quality and the depth of talent, I don't think those many players exist. And so watch out for the top 20, 25 among this pool of 100. And those players will just enjoy being Indian players at the moment. So that's one thing I see. I think some of the best scouting in India is done by the IPL teams. And so there will be, every team will have those 3 or 4 players that they think the others don't know very much about, but they have seen something in them. So just watch for the late auction picks, where these value picks will suddenly start to come in. But if 2 or 3 franchises have the same pick, then suddenly you'll find this unknown player go and get a huge buy. So look at the top 20, 25 India players, then look at the value picks. As usual, the seam bowling all-rounders will be worth their weight in gold. Somebody who can bat in the top 6 and can give you 3-4 overs most times. There aren't a lot of those going around. Who are the big ones in the IPL? You had Ben Stokes, you had Andre Russell, you had Hardik Pandya. You know, those kind of players, none of those are available. Even Chris Morris has now retired. He's not available. Even Venkatesh Iyer, who's really a top order batsman, who will give you a couple of overs, even he's gone. So anybody who can bowl seam up and bat in the top 6, 7 becomes critical. Deepak Chahar, Shardul Thakur, Jason Holder. You might even say, okay, I'll pick a spin bowling all-rounder in that region, but I will then go and spend money on pure fast bowlers afterwards. So there you're looking at a Hasaranga, you're looking at an Ashwin. I like Akil Hussain of the West Indies. So you're looking at players like those who can play dual roles, ideally a seam bowling all-rounder, but someone who can bat at 6, 7 and give me 4 overs. I think teams will be a little wary of the comings and goings. I mean, if you look at the international calendar around the IPL, you'll see that a lot of players are actually going to come in very late. Here's the calendar for you. Now look at what Australia are doing. Their test series ends on the 25th of March. If they tell their players it's a T20 year, we want you to go and play in the IPL to help us build on the T20 World Cup. They might send another team for the ODIs in Pakistan and make those players available after the 25th of March. Otherwise, the ODIs run until the 5th of April. That's 8 days into the IPL. Look at South Africa. I expect them to send a decent contingent. Their test matches run till the 11th of April. Now, if they come from the 11th of April after that, 12th, 13th, I don't know if there'll be a proper bubble-to-bubble transfer. But even if there is, you're talking of minimum of 5 or 6 games to the South African players. Now you see the great value of what Quinton de Kock has done. So that could affect someone like a Rabada, for example. Saying, you know what, I desperately want a Rabada, but I don't know how much of Rabada I'm going to get. So that will all depend, I think, on a lot of back channel talks with the cricket boards to make those players available. New Zealand are playing against the Netherlands. Those are ODIs. Now, the reason these games are more important than just any other games is that they're all part of the ODI and Test Match Super Leagues, the WTC and the ODI Super League. So the Netherlands are playing March 29th, April 2, April 4. New Zealand has always been IPL friendly. They might say, yeah, we should be expected to beat the Netherlands. We might release our players. But their test series begins in England on the 2nd of June. So they might go away latest by 24th, 25th of May. That leaves the England players. If the series is starting 2nd June, especially after what happened in the Ashes, England will want their players back to play one first-class game. I think that last first-class game starts on the 19th of May or thereabouts. They will want their players leaving by the 15th of May. So what you're talking of missing a major part of the playoff. That is a big factor, availability of players. If you have a player who's available throughout, he might get a better valuation. And teams are looking for wicket keepers. Look, there are 10 teams, 6 wicket keepers needed because only 4 teams have guaranteed wicket keepers. Dhoni, of course, at CSK, KL Rahul, Rishabh Pant at Delhi, and Sanju Samson, Joss Butler. That's another wicket keeper gone at Rajasthan Royals. So expect wicket keepers to get a good valuation, and that's why Quinton de Kock, Johnny Bairstow, you'll find all these players coming in. Who are the keepers that are available to you? You look at KS Bharat, you've got Riddhiman Saha, you've got Ishan Kishan and Quinton de Kock, of course, as I said. And so you might start looking at Dinesh Karthik, Matthew Wade, those players still available. Karthik has had a fabulous Vijay Hazare. So those players again start to become available. So watch out for keepers and captains. There's 2 other factors that will be interesting to follow. How hard will teams go to retain players that they like? They've got to bid for them in an open auction and bid money because there is no right to match card. They have to go and buy them in the open market. How hard, for example, will Mumbai Indians go for Quinton de Kock and Ishan Kishan? They love both those players. They're a big part of their side. Or will they say, no, we'll go hard for one of them because they mirror each other's skills in a certain way? How hard will Delhi go, for example, for a Ravichandran Ashwin, a Shikhar Dhawan and Avesh Khan? How much will RCB want Harshal Patel back? So these are players become almost synonymous. Even someone like a Dwayne Bravo is still available at Chennai Super Kings, a Faf du Plessis who's played a big role for them. These are players who got associated with certain franchises. So that is one thing definitely to look forward to. The other, because they're a marquee side and we've been talking about them for such a long time, what are Chennai Super Kings going to do? They've already got Dhoni. Are they going to continue with Bravo and Raidu and Raina and Faf? They had Robin last time. Or are they going to say, this is our opportunity to rebuild around younger players? Or will they say, look, those guys won us an IPL just recently. So why not continue with that side? So watch for what CSK strategy is going to be.